I've decided to come see you myself. We've been talking for a while now. Long calls, late-night chats, good morning messages followed by voice notes that make the day feel a little less heavy. It wasn't just flirting. It wasn't just comfort. It became something deeper, something neither of us planned but both of us needed. But the screen, it started to feel small. I could hear the softness in their voice. I could watch their laugh through video calls. But I couldn't hold their hand. Couldn't see how their eyes moved when they weren't speaking. Couldn't give them silence and still sit beside them in it. So I stopped waiting. And I sent the message. I've decided to come see you myself. Just like that. No big speech. No dramatic lead-up. Just truth. Because sometimes, the longer you wait, the more you miss things that were meant to be felt in person. They took a while to respond. I knew it wasn't a bad thing, just surprise. Sometimes the heart needs a second to catch up to what it's always hoped for. When they replied, it was just 3 words. "You're really coming?" I smiled at the screen like they were already in front of me. Yeah, I need to see you. Not just through a screen. Not in blurry pixels or shaky signals. I need to see you in real life. And I meant it, because what we had was already real. But I wanted it to breathe, to stretch out into real air, to exist in a room, not just a phone. I didn't have everything planned. Didn't know what we'd do or where we'd go. But I knew this. There's a difference between saying, "I care about you," and showing up for someone. Just because your heart knows they're worth the miles, the effort, the time. So I booked the ticket. Packed light. Heart full. No expectations, just presence. Because something in me said, this isn't just a visit. This is a step towards something we haven't even fully seen yet. The ride to their place felt longer than it really was. My heart kept skipping. Not in fear, but in this quiet, shaky kind of wonder. Like I was walking straight into something my soul had been waiting for. And it was finally here. The driver made small talk. I smiled politely, but my mind was already 2 steps ahead, picturing their face, their smile, the sound of their voice without static. I'd heard them say my name 100 times before, but I wanted to hear it in the same room. When we pulled up, I saw them standing at the gate. No posing, no pretending, just real, raw, familiar. Like they didn't know how to stand still because their heart was doing the same dance mine was. For a moment we both just froze. Not because we didn't want to move, but because we didn't want to miss the moment. This was it. All the calls. All the "I wish I could be there." All the pauses when we said goodnight. Like we weren't quite ready to end the day without each other. Now it was all standing right in front of us. They smiled first. That soft, shy smile I'd seen through a screen so many times. Only now, it felt warmer, fuller. "Hi," they whispered. I laughed, a little breathless. "Hi." And then, just like that, we closed the distance. Not with words. Not with explanation. Just with a hug. Not one of those polite, quick ones, but the kind where you exhale for the first time in weeks. The kind where your heart says, "You made it. Finally." We stood there for a while. No rush. Because when something's been building slowly, with patience, honesty, and care, you don't need to fill the moment with noise. Being there is enough. We eventually walked inside. The air smelled like them. The walls held pieces of their life I'd only seen in pictures. And somehow, I already felt at home. We didn't talk about everything right away. We didn't plan the next few days. We just sat side by side, knees touching, silence wrapping around us like a blanket. And when they leaned their head on my shoulder and whispered, "I still can't believe you're here," I smiled, eyes closed, and said, "Believe it. I didn't come all this way for maybe. I came to show you what real feels like." That night we didn't go out. No fancy dinner. No perfect date. Just the couch, 2 glasses of something warm, and a playlist playing low in the background. Felt safe. Like the kind of silence you don't need to fill. They curled up next to me, legs tucked underneath, fingers tracing lazy circles on the back of my hand. And for a while, neither of us said anything. But I could feel it. Something was sitting just behind their eyes. Something unspoken, waiting to be let out. So I turned slightly and asked, gentle and honest, "What's going through your head right now?" They didn't answer right away. But then they whispered, almost like they weren't sure they were allowed to say it. "I didn't think you'd actually come." I stayed quiet. Let them finish. People always say they care. They say they'll show up, they'll stay, they'll try. But they don't. Or if they do, it's only when it's easy. When it's convenient. They look down at their hands. So when you said, "I've decided to come see you myself," I wanted to believe you. But a part of me didn't let me. Because I've been promised a lot. And most of those promises were made to be broken. I reached out, took their hand fully in mine, held it like I was holding a truth I didn't want to drop. "I'm not them," I said quietly. "And I didn't come for words. I came to be here. To show you I mean what I say. Especially when it's not easy." They didn't cry, but their shoulders dropped. Like a weight they didn't know they were carrying finally let go. And then they told me things they hadn't said before. Stories about people who left too soon. The way they learned to be okay with being someone's almost. How they stopped asking for more because they were tired of hearing, "You expect too much." And I just listened. I didn't interrupt. Didn't try to fix it. Didn't make it about me. Because sometimes, the greatest proof of love is just sitting still and letting someone fall apart safely, knowing they don't have to rebuild alone. When they were done, they leaned their head into my chest and whispered, "It's scary. How much I want to trust this." I kissed their forehead and said, "You don't have to rush. I didn't come here for perfect. I came for you." The next morning felt different. Not because of something big. Not because of any dramatic moment. But because of the small things. The way they looked at me across the table. Like they didn't have to wonder anymore if I was real. The way their shoulders didn't seem so tight. The way they let out a soft laugh without covering their mouth or apologizing for being heard. It was like watching someone slowly come back to life. They made breakfast. Nothing fancy, just toast, eggs, coffee. But they moved with this quiet kind of peace. Like they weren't waiting for me to disappear the way others had. We didn't talk about the night before. We didn't need to. Something had shifted. They sat across from me. Eyes soft. Voice a little lighter than I'd heard it before. "I've never had someone show up like this," they said. I didn't speak over them. I didn't say, "You deserve it," or "That's crazy." Because deep down, I knew it wasn't about what they deserved. It was about what they had never received. And how, for the first time, they were letting themselves receive it. "I always thought I was asking for too much," they added, pushing crumbs around their plate. I reached across the table, gently rested my hand on theirs. "You weren't asking for too much," I said. "You were just asking the wrong people." They looked at me for a long moment. And then something happened. They reached back, fingers wrapping around mine. Not tight, just steady. That was the moment. Not the hug at the airport. Not the midnight talk. But this. Them choosing to meet me halfway. Not with words, but with presence. With trust. With a soft, quiet yes that didn't need to be spoken. We spent the rest of the morning doing nothing that would seem special to anyone else. But to me, it was everything. They didn't pull away when I stood behind them and wrapped my arms around their waist. They didn't say, "You don't have to do all this," when I helped with the dishes. They didn't say sorry when they leaned their head on my shoulder while we sat on the couch. They just let it happen. Like maybe, for the first time, they were starting to believe, this is what being loved without fear feels like. Came later that evening. Not a fight. Not anything loud or messy. Just a small moment, the kind that would have felt like the beginning of the end in their past. We were picking out food to order. A simple, silly back and forth over what we were craving. I joked, "You always say you don't know, but then you veto half my suggestions." And I said it with a smile. But something in their face shifted. They got quiet. Eyes dropped. Shoulders pulled in just a little. Not angry. Not cold. Just somewhere else all of a sudden. I noticed it right away. In the past, I might have brushed it off. Tried to lighten the mood. Or change the subject. But this time, I didn't move past it. I leaned closer and said softly, "Hey, what happened just now?" They hesitated. then said the kind of truth that comes out like a whisper you've held in for too long. It reminded me of before, when I used to get criticized for small things, jokes that weren't jokes, little comments that made me feel like I was always doing something wrong. I felt something tighten in my chest. Not guilt, but care. That kind of protective love that rises up when you realize someone is still carrying the weight of moments they never fully healed from. I took their hand gently and said, "I wasn't trying to make fun of you, but thank you for telling me. You don't ever have to swallow your feelings to keep the peace with me. If something stings, say so. I'm here to unlearn with you, not cause more of the same." They looked at me surprised, not because I said the right thing, but because I stayed present instead of pulling away. They nodded slowly. I think I just got scared for a second. Old patterns. They still tap on my shoulder sometimes. I smiled gently. Then let's not ignore them. Let's face them together. And just like that, the moment passed. Not because it was forgotten, but because it was seen. That night, while we waited for the food to arrive, they leaned into me on the couch and said, "This is new for me. Being able to speak up and not have someone leave." I kissed the top of their head and whispered, "Then let's keep making new things together. Safe things. True things. Because this was love showing up in the small moments. Not in flowers or grand gestures, but in staying, in listening, in responding with softness when fear knocks." It was late. One of those nights where the world outside goes quiet, and everything inside you slows down too. We were lying there. The room dim, one lamp still on, soft music playing low in the background. Their head rested on my chest, fingers tracing gentle patterns on my arm. And I could feel it. Not tension, not worry, just a question sitting quietly between us. They looked up after a while, eyes calm, voice barely above a whisper. "Do you ever think about where this could go?" No pressure, no fear, just curiosity. I took a second, not because I didn't know the answer, but because I wanted to say it right. "I do," I said, not in a way that rushes things, but in a way that makes me want to stay, to grow into it, slowly, intentionally. They nodded, then asked, "Like what do you picture?" And I told them about the little things. Waking up and not needing a screen to see their face. Cooking together even if we both mess up the recipe. Buying plants and naming them something ridiculous. Falling asleep on the couch halfway through a movie and not caring that we missed the ending. I wasn't talking about timelines or checklists. I was talking about a life. Not perfect, not polished, but shared. And then I asked them, "What do you see?" They paused, bit their lip, thought for a moment. "I see peace," they said. "I see laughter. I see not having to explain myself all the time. I see a version of me that's not scared of being too much. Because you're not trying to shrink me." I reached up, tucked a strand of hair behind their ear and said, "I want that for you too. And not just in moments, but every day we keep choosing this." They smiled, the kind of smile that didn't need words. Because that was the thing about this love. It wasn't about rushing toward a future just to feel secure. It was about building one slowly, together, with presence, with truth, with softness. And in that quiet room, wrapped up in each other, we both knew. We weren't guessing anymore. We weren't wondering if the other person wanted to stay. We were both staying. Fully, willingly, and with wide open hearts.